So let us know how you got started in this.
Yeah, well, I have a few different projects that I'm passionate about, but one of those in particular is uh, a line of cellular activation products that when I got involved in it, I did not understand how important it was. I've always been very energetically sensitive and very kind of I guess you could call it I was just sensitive. I could feel things, I could different things like that. But what I realized, maybe not for a few years of actually being involved with this company, is that these cellular activation products were, it was like a domino effect that what I was seeing happen in people. And, you know, when you start knocking on one domino and then all the other dominoes start to fall, I just started seeing people become more of who they were meant to be. And this whole idea of cellular activation, they say that our cells regenerate, depending on what kind of cells they are, all the time. We are constantly regenerating ourselves. And this perspective of, are we regenerating a damaged cell or a, you know, vital cell that's operating as it in its full capacity. So I believe that we've had so many things and, insults against our system and against our bodies, particularly these last few years. But we have the ability to heal all the time. And that is what I saw starting to happen with this line of cellular activators. So I didn't go looking for it. I did not necessarily even go looking for a business. My husband had fallen and hurting his neck and his back, and I had a friend tell me about it, and I started looking into these. And then I saw what it did with my mom's cancer. I saw what it did with a whole bunch of people, and I just saw their vitality. Now, to be clear, we can't say that we treat, cure, or prevent anything because, as we know, only drugs do that. But,
Sure. Okay.
right? So, what I saw happening, just, it's interesting. So these, is it okay if I show it?
Yeah, sure.
So this is one of our flagship activators, and when I started actually, and maybe I don't even quite yet still understand it, but when I started understanding some of the science behind it, and I saw that there was all kinds of peer-reviewed research on all these different types of conditions. So what this product does is it reduces cellular oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and up to 70% over 120 days. There's never been anything like it. And just about every single condition is related to oxidative stress. So, people start taking it and they have eczema or they're anxious or they're depressed. All of a sudden they start feeling better and some of these things start to, and their systems start working better. So what this actually does is it turns on a protein in our bodies. Now, this particular protein is called, now just to be clear, we have a bunch of other cellular activators now that have branched off this original product, but this original protein was called NRF2. And Washington State University, even in the last few years, said that NRF2 may become the most preventative therapeutic breakthrough in the history of medicine.
Wow.
So Bruce Lipton, he talks about proteins. And, he talks about that as being the building block of everything. Depending on that protein, that creates the environment. And when I heard him speak about it a number of years ago, it was when I started to understand perhaps maybe the importance of the mission that I was on, because I actually do feel like it is a mission, because never in my life have I ever felt like I have done anything that has impacted the amount of people that this has.
Oh,
Because
that's
if you can,
beautiful. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
And again, I think that's what we all should be looking for is our purpose in helping each other. So
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome that you found that.
Because if you can help, like let's say it's you, and it doesn't really do anything earth-shattering, but you're no longer in pain and you're able to show up for your, you know, kids or your family. I don't know your situation, but you're just able to be a little bit better of a person. That has a far-reaching effect. When a grandparent can all of a sudden run with a grandchild that couldn't before, or that, just has maybe a little bit more energy during the day. I mean, I've had people, Tommy, tell me within a couple weeks, listen, you don't understand it, but I was suicidal. And those thoughts have stopped because depression is a symptom. We are, sold this line in today's culture that all of these conditions and symptoms and oh, that's a disease. No, it's a symptom of a root problem, that when you get to that root problem, our culture is so steeped in this, oh, you need a medication for that. Oh, you know what? Your body's not perfect. You actually need this to be fully immune protected. And this idea that we have, need all these vaccinations at birth and that we need all these different things to be whole is a programming and a conditioning that we've somehow bought.
Oh, you're speaking my language right now
Right?
because about 10 years ago, I got deathly sick. To the point that I mean, and it hit me like that, and it turned out to be a diverticulosis, and they diagnosed me with a bunch of stuff. But this particular day got to the point that I had to have my son, thankfully was 16 at the time, drive me to the ER because the stomach pain was so bad I couldn't stand. And I went through about 4 months of doctors and 5 or 6 different doctors. Nobody could figure it out. So that's when I found the holistic nutrition school called IIN, Integrative Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Okay.
So I did that school to figure out what was wrong with me. Um, and that's when I started learning about, holy cow, we're eating poison every day. We're just dumping poison into our bodies on a daily basis. So, whenever I started eating clean and doing some meditation and holistic's all about I don't even know what word you would use for that. I call it kind of spiritual because you're really doing everything to take care of your body, right? Mentally and physically. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a beautiful thing when you figure out that we're doing it wrong here. We're not us, but and the crazy thing is everybody else thinks we're crazy, when
Well, it's
when
so
uh,
fun. Sorry to interrupt.
no, it's
uh,
okay, go ahead.
the programming that we have, it's like what I see happening, even if people think that they want to shift their cells, depending on how attached they are to that disease or that state or what it does for them in their life, they may or may not be able to even take the first step because they know they're going to change. They know that they're going to change. And that's probably the saddest part to me is how ingrained we are into this. Oh, I couldn't take it because if I take something that makes me feel better and I no longer am eligible for my disability credits, then what? Or I've actually had people say to me before, listen, my kids were doing so great on this that we're on the spectrum and that, had some challenges. And when we started reducing that oxidative stress, some of those things went away. And they actually said to me, like, listen, I got to take them off of this because they have to be able to qualify for funding. Right? Right? And it's like
That's
this idea that we have this whole system that is making us prove. I remember when I was about 19, I was working in this restaurant and bar, and it was like a restaurant on a golf course, and I was a waitress, and I fell down on oil. I walked into the kitchen and they had spilt oil, and I broke my tailbone, and I broke it very significantly. And it impacted me. It still impacts me, but it impacted me so dramatically that you know, but going through that WCB process, or what it was called in British Columbia at the time, uh, they make you constantly prove how sick, debilitated, you know, ill-equipped you are for life. It's like, no, do you really qualify to be like disabled? How disabled are you? How much in pain? And they're constantly going through this. I had to step out of the system of even being eligible for anything because I could not participate in the how messed up are you system, because as you start to validate it, you start to become more messed up.
absolutely. And going back to I love Bruce Lipton as well, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
And when you listen to him and Dr. Joe Dispenza and those guys, they all talk about, if you're walking around telling everybody how sick you are, that's what the universe thinks you want. The universe
yeah,
is saying, oh, this guy wants to be sick. Or this young lady wants to be sick. Well, let's give her more of that. Here, how about a broken leg to go in with that?
yeah.
And it's people don't understand how important it is to, just have gratitude for what you do have and try to push through and be positive about it. And it's very hard. I raced motorcycles growing up, and so I've broken part of every limb and ribs and everything. So I have arthritis all through me, and some really bad injuries. But I try not to. It's hard not to think about it, but I try to just deal with it. And nope, I feel great today. Today's going to be a good day. And you just you have to get through it. If you walk around talking about how bad you feel all day long every day, it's never going to get better.
Right? It just feeds off each other. And I feel like our mind, like you're talking about with what Joe and Bruce and Greg Braden and stuff all drill into people, is that mindset is the most important thing. And our body does what our mind tells it. So good for you.
Yeah. And it's a struggle. I mean, it hasn't been easy. I went through a lot of rough times. I mean, I went through alcohol addiction, and they had me on so many pain pills at one time, drug addiction. And and they don't tell you that these pain pills are addictive. It's just, oh, you broke your arm, here, take these pain pills. And 20, 30 years ago, man, they were just giving them out. I mean,
They still are. They still are, Tommy.
yeah.
You know, I had my kids are all adults now, but um one of my sons said to me once, Mom, I could be on anything I want through the doctor if I want it. Like some of the stuff that I've been offered, I wasn't asking for, but some of the stuff that I've been offered for different things, like I would never fill but it takes so much effort to not be influenced by that pharmaceutical system. And then once you are, it's just like a cascade effect of like, oh, well, now I have this from that and that from this. And oh, now I need another drug to combat that. And I personally think that we are like absolutely under like a spiritual attack of all different kinds of things. And, the pharmaceutical industry has a huge part to play because once you are no longer in your sovereign self, all kinds of influences can play a part.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in plant medicine, because that's what
Right?
humans have been using for thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, the last 150, 200 years, it's like, oh no, you can't take those plants. That doesn't work. You have to take this, dump this chemical in your body, and that'll help. So yeah, I mean, I have a good supplement company that I deal with. It's USDA organic, all organic stuff, and they have something for everything that ails you. They have joint flex, apothecary to help you sleep. They have all these cool products, and it's made a difference in our lives. It's my mom hadn't slept for years, and I got her this apothecary, and now she sleeps at night. She drinks that at night like a glass of wine, and it helps her sleep. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Little things that if you can get a good night's sleep, it means a lot.
Well, and if you can start reducing those root conditions, that root inflammation, I mean, so many conditions and diseases that they say are genetic. Like a very small percentage of our conditions are actually genetic. A friend of mine, actually, who I heard about this line of activators from is a pathologist and a cancer specialist, breast breast pathologist here in Alberta. And she said, Melanie, like the majority of cancers, probably 95% are environmental.
Hmm.
And I mean, we've been told something entirely different. I'm 51, my husband's 50, just turned 50. And he just turned 50 and he got this letter. Actually, I think I have it on my desk right here. This letter in the mail. Oh, yeah. Because you're 50, now here's your screening, right? Like screening for colorectal cancer, saves lives, one of the leading causes of cancer deaths, why screening's so important. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that, some of these diagnostic tools are important, but okay, so when you hit 50, you're now getting this wave of stuff being sent to you of, oh, by the way, death is on its way. Right? Like you are old as balls now. And
Oh, yeah.
it's like this system that is predatory on our mindset. My mom, when she had breast cancer, now the doctor said that they had never seen happen in her happen without chemo or radiation. And she said it took her so long to get over the mind trips that they had done on her of, listen, if we don't do preventative chemo or preventative radiation, even though her tumor mass had shrunk, it had protected itself. It was dying on the inside when they took it out of her. And she said, do I have cancer anywhere else? And they said, well, we don't know. She's like, well, then you're not going to just radiate all of me. And the mind trips that, like the doubt and the fear that the system puts into you over, listen, if you don't do this, you're probably going to die.
Mm.
And if
I'm
it,
going through it right now with my aunt, and my aunt's not much older than me. I'm 53. I think she's 58. But she just got diagnosed with stage 3/4, almost 4 cancer. And I'm trying to get her this product I use, Purium. They have it's called a Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. And it gives you everything you need for a month to cleanse your body out. It's all organic, like appleberry, greens shakes, and all these great products. And so I had a call with her, with the founding brand partner with that. And he's telling her exactly, okay, if we can do this, it's going to clean you out, it's blah, blah, blah. But she's like, between the other family members and all the doctors, they're like, you have to start chemo right now. And I said, I'm not telling you what to do, but I know what I would do. There's what's the success rate for chemo, like 2%? I mean, it's ridiculous, really, when you look at the numbers. But when you go an all organic lifestyle, there's thousands and thousands of stories out there that people have beat it. So it's really, once again, like you were talking about earlier, it's the programming, because you have all these doctors saying, you have to take this medicine, you have to take this chemo, you have to do this, you have to do that, when all our bodies really need is to get back to what we're really made to eat, and that's clean, clean foods, and what you're doing, regenerating some cells. So it's very irritating, when you get in this position and you can help somebody, but the 99% of the other people in their lives are telling you, don't do that. That's crazy.
yeah,
They're going to kill you with that stuff. It's snake
yeah,
oil. It's, I've been called, when I was doing that school, people called me a witch doctor, and I'm like, you can call me whatever you want, but I feel great,
yeah,
so.
yeah, 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 it is. I think you hit it on the head there. When you said programming, it takes so much effort to not feel the fear that's direct. Like, even just look at what we experienced the last 4 or 5 years. That fear, I'm very strong in what I feel and what some of my beliefs are. But, the amount of fear that, you have to process and get through in your head to be able to, it is that fear is being used as an absolute weapon and tool. And,
Absolutely.
and you see it now in the headlines. Like, I look at everything with, I mean, people, like, just to be clear, if somebody said, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, well, I would say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a 50.
Yeah,
So, like,
well,
take that with a grain of salt, right?
my podcast is called Forbidden Chronicles, and I talk about dragons and all kinds of stuff. So, but most of this stuff's the truth. We're talking about the truth. Yeah, you have some people out there that are putting out some guru stuff that it's kind of questionable, but I mean, eating organic, clean foods and taking some products that regenerate cells, you would think everybody would want to do that,
Right?
as opposed to going to the doctor and piling in all these medicines that have 50 different side effects that are worse than what you're dealing with. I mean, I don't know.
Wait,
It's maddening.
the National Institute of Aging did a study on our flagship product, and they showed that it extended lifespan by 7% in mammals. And 7%, it's like, and it was studied against a bunch of different natural ingredients. And and I mean, it is all natural ingredients, but it was also studied against um, some very key things. And I look at that like 7%. So the pharmaceutical industry does not want you to know that you have an extra 7%. Right? Like that, that is huge. And when you start to look at like quality of life and like who you might want to have an extra 7% with, or who you might not, you might not want to tell some people about it, but it is, even like in our dogs, an extra 7% of a dog's life, that's a huge amount of time. And I just feel like we have to be so conscientious and so protective of our own energy and things that resonate with us and be very discretionary and use ourselves as the litmus test, because there's all kinds of things out there that are their intent is to not have us feel what is for us.
Absolutely. And sadly, it's not only the products, but the people you're hanging around with. And sometimes friends and
100%.
family are the worst thing to have in your life when you're sick, because, they'll pile on more stress. And,
Yeah.
I know, like, when I started this journey with that school and trying to eat healthy, I lost a lot of friends, because I'm
They
not out
weren't
drinking
vibrating with you
anymore. And
anymore.
yeah, it's a different frequency. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in frequencies, it works whether you believe it or not. So it I think that's super important too. And what's Bruce calls that epigenetics, right? So that's your environment that you're in and the people you're around. And I think that's equally important.
One of the studies with the epigenetics that I heard him talk about one time is that they taking children that were adopted and putting them into a new family. And they took on the genetic markers of whatever it was, whether it was heart disease, they took on the genetic markers of that new family, because it was the environmental and the emotional and the environment that you're in that creates the stressors in your body. And so I found that when I heard that years ago, it just blew my mind, because really that means that we are all programmable, and all we have to care about is what we are programming ourselves with. And when we understand that we are living in this mass program that is not necessarily wanting us to be vital, because if it was, we would all be vital.
Yeah. I wish I could remember his name, but there was a famous quote by a king long ago that said, give me a child until he's 7 and I'll show you the man. So,
Yeah.
right up until we're 7 years old, we're just really recording information, So, yeah, when you hear about epigenetics, it really makes you think about your childhood and why you made the dumb decisions you did in, early adulthood. And until you get out of there's set ways that you grew up with, and I know and I live in a really small town. There's, I think, 2,600 people or something. So, it's and a lot of it's the same, man. You hear a lot of people when we were kids talking about the same things that they were going through, and you have to dig your way out of that box eventually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how long have you been doing this activation thing, and what are the results you've seen?
Well, honestly, I mean, I've been doing it about 10 years. So I initially went looking at it for my husband who had fallen and hurt in his neck and his back. And I had a friend say, "Hey, Mel, he needs Protandim." And I was like, "Well, what's that?" And then I started looking into it. I ordered it. My mom and my sister came to visit from BC, and I told them about it, and they started taking it, and they started noticing huge shifts. And my husband, he's not the best candidate to be like the best poster child for this because he uses it like an emergency room. Some of our other activators, he's on regular, like all the time. He won't go off of them. But at the beginning, he used Protandim like an emergency room. He had also what you talked about, the diverticulitis, and he used it and he got better, and that was the end of it. He goes from like, zero to superhero really fast.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes guys, it's like
right?
I'm
Yeah.
guilty of it too. Oh, I feel better. Okay, I don't need
Yeah,
this
I don't
anymore.
need it anymore. I'm good.
Let me run
So,
out and work myself to death for another couple months.
right? Yeah. So so then I started sharing it when I saw what happened to my mom and my sister. I started sharing it with others. And honestly, I wasn't initially looking for a business. It's a network marketing product. And I wasn't really interested in that to begin with. But that being said, what it turned into was an absolute legacy of vitality. And over the last 10 years, I was able to stay home with my kids. I was able to, not necessarily have to go out and be able to work from home and have many different choices because of that. And so it has turned into a huge blessing. And what I've seen it do in other people was, you know, they just became more of who they were meant to be. When you start fixing the cells, people that domino effect of becoming more of who you're meant to. This is what I believe. This is kind of like a little bit of a spiritual aside from this, but when you get rid of that cellular oxidative stress, what's there? Space. So I believe that this product, and I can't prove this, there's no studies, but we have had neuroscientists study this on people, and they said the only explanation that they can come up with as far as how this shifts the brain and stuff in children and how this shifts people is quantum. And what I believe happens in this, and just to be clear, like nobody else I know talks about this with the company, but um, I think what it does is it allows the body to hold more light. And when you hold more light, you have more light to share, and just things shift in your body. And so that's what I think is happening now from a physical perspective. I mean, we have thousands and thousands of doctors that are sharing this, and most doctors don't necessarily want to jump on the network marketing bandwagon unless it's going to help people. And, to be fair, a lot of those doctors are people that really want to help people, which isn't necessarily most of our doctors right now. But what we are seeing is, I have, friends with kids with cerebral palsy that, say that, their children have such a higher level of functioning. I have friends, like I said, for example, I was riding in a car yesterday with a friend, and she's a personal trainer and had shared it with her friend. And she's like, in 2 weeks, my eczema and psoriasis went away, and I just don't feel anxious anymore. And like, so all of these different stories, we have thousands and thousands of testimonials from, different types of, genetic conditions to just different types of spectrum disorder type of conditions, learning difficulties, mental health difficulties, physical. There's studies showing what it does. What it actually does is it turns on your body to make glutathione by over 300%.
Oh, wow.
So glutathione, your own body activating itself. So it's not supplementing something that you're missing. It is activating something that has gone dormant. And that is
Mhm.
entirely different than the power of a supplement. And so it is actually turning on your pathways. And when you turn on this pathway, it can then go act like a circuit breaker that then says, oh, okay, we need more of this, or we need less of this, or and then your cells start talking better to each other. And then all your systems start kind of working in tandem. And that's why it's actually called pro tandem. It means in synergy.
Nice, nice. And I think you're 100% right about light. We don't, the majority of people don't get enough sunshine today.
Nope.
And we've been told the sun's bad for you, stay out of the sun. Well, there's studies that show that people that are on the standard American diet, as opposed to people that are on a healthy, organic lifestyle, they don't get skin cancer.
Right?
They just don't get it. I'm in the sun every day, with I got
Yeah.
my shirt off out there, we're doing whatever, and that's how I want to live. I love that sunshine. I want sunshine. So I don't believe the madness that we have to stay out of the sun.
And anytime anybody goes through any type of cancer protocol or whatever, um, you know, different types of things, they're like, oh, throw on sunscreen. And it's just shocking to me that I'm very fair skinned, and I'll tell you, like, I get heat stroke in about 2 seconds. But it is, I think, honestly, the more that I look into it, I've worn contacts since I was really young. And um, the more that I look into some of the different studies that they have on the sun now, having any kind of film over top of um, over the light that you're bringing in. I don't know. My daughter's very, very fair, and she she struggles, and she's always had transcription or what's it called? The glasses that change to light to dark when you put them on.
Yeah, transitions. Yeah.
Transition, yeah. And I wonder now if I've done her a huge disservice in actually making her eyes more sensitive and my eyes more sensitive. Um, just just in constantly, because we are so fair skinned and light eyed, it's we're sensitive, yes, but you make yourself more sensitive by actually protecting it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and let me be clear with that. I don't think fair-skinned people should go out and stand in the sun for 8 hours to get sun. Don't do that. Use precautionary measures, get a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
I'm Greek and Italian, and I'm a mutt of a lot of European things. So I'm a little bit, I take the sun a little bit better than a lot of
yeah,
people. So yeah,
yeah.
everybody, don't just run out and soak up sunshine and get burnt to death, please.
But some of the studies now, I don't know too much about it, but I do know that, observing the sun at sunrise and sunset is very important. And I am an avid watcher of the sun rising and the sun setting. And I don't know why, but it's just so important for me. I probably have, like, I kid you not, 20,000 sky pictures on my phone. My family makes fun of me because I'll like see something pink and I'm like, oh, gotta go. I gotta run outside. But
Hey, Yeah, no, we're with you. We do that. And the moon, we're out
Yeah.
every night about 10 o'clock before bed. We go outside and we stand outside and we look at the moon. I have a meteor shower app on my phone that tells me when meteor showers are. We sometimes we'll set an alarm for 2 or 3 a.m. and we'll go outside and watch that. So I think I think humans are missing that. We've watched the sky for thousands of years and now we just quit. People aren't doing it.
It's this.
Oh,
It's
excuse me. I think that's super important, I think.
Yeah, we're looking down, we're not looking up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the other sad thing is when you walk into a restaurant and every table, every family member is sitting there looking at their phone and not talking to their family.
Oh, it's so
Uh,
heartbreaking to me to see not only kids, but we had a rule that you couldn't have any phones at the table. And it, when you see people out in public trying so hard to connect to something because everything else is so fractured, it's hard.
yeah, I had that. Now my son is 26, so I had that rule from the beginning. As soon as he started having cell phones, I wouldn't let him bring. I'm like, nope, you're not bringing that to the table. We're eating dinner.
Yeah,
That's it. We're gonna eat dinner and talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
About important things. That's another thing that's missing today is everybody's too busy to sit down and have a dinner, cook a dinner. Everybody wants to run through McDonald's and it's a lot of times it's just lack of planning or it's not their fault. They just don't know how to plan around that. So
Well, or
y-
our family units have been intentionally divided.
yeah, that too. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, no, I think it's a bold move in today's age to, raise a family that is connected, that is able to talk, that is that doesn't thrive on the division that's thrown at us.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate. My son is just the most incredible human, and he lives 2 hours away, so it's heart-wrenching for me. But and his friends even he has friends from a couple hours away. They come down, and then I'll be down there, and we're all there on the weekend. And his friends give me a hug, and it's just it's just the best, whenever you raise them to make healthy decisions and he works out and they eat clean and they're just super good people, him and his friends. And I was just telling him, I was down there a couple weeks ago and his all of his friends were there and I said, man, you're so fortunate to have friends like you have. Like they're such good kids. It's heartwarming to see.
That means you did a good job, Dad.
Yeah, I'll take that credit.
That's what that means.
Yeah, I think it's very important to start kids on good habits because if they grow up with the habit of running through McDonald's to get food, that's what they're going to do when they're young adults. And it just causes so many problems, so many health problems. I don't know. That's the worst thing in my brain is when I see what people feed their kids because our kids are relying on us to make good decisions for them. So when they're constantly shoving candy and cupcakes and McDonald's cheeseburgers and that's all they get all day long, oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I know whatever you can't. Some people are not going to change. You can't. I tried to change people before. I used to try to, hey man, you could do this and this, but it'll make you even more crazy trying to change people that don't want to change. So I try to. Me and my wife, we try to eat clean and the people around us, we try to educate them on the best things to do, but sometimes they don't want to do it. So what are you going to do?
Nothing you can do.
No.
I
So Melanie, do you have do you have a website? Do you want to plug some stuff? Tell people where
yeah,
you're
sure.
at?
I have a podcast. It's I call it Activate and Illuminate because I'm just so passionate about that activation message. It's not, about these products per se. It's about people, examples of people that are activating and illuminating their life. And so I do have that, activateandilluminate.com. People can find the products at protandemcanada.lifevantage.com. So that's PROTANDIM Canada.lifevantage.com. And yeah, that is what I would plug. I would love any fresh subscribers that want to listen to some illuminating content, or some people that I find that lift me up, or that their stories have inspired me. And we have any types of people on there, from people that have done like epic journeys of like let I'm thinking of this one guy from here in Canada that did a 3,000-kilometer solo canoe trip around the north of Canada by himself. I've
Wow.
had some police whistleblowers. I've had people with different types of uh, water technology, different types of energetic frequency technology, different types of healing, different types of yeah, just people with inspirational stories. So that's where I would say come check me out, and I'd be happy to have you. And also, if anybody out there is, wow, like what she's saying, I really resonate with, reach out to me. And if you have a story that, fits into those parameters, you're more than happy to reach out to me. And I would love to connect with you and chat about it.
Absolutely. I'll come on whenever you want. Whoa, I just hit my camera. Sorry about that. I have plenty of stuff to talk about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to come on and share my journey, my story, my whatever I'm doing now. Yeah, I would
And
love
if
it.
any of your
I
listeners do as well, that's I'd welcome them as well.
I greatly appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. I enjoyed it. Very
Yeah.
informative, and there's nothing like a good story where
Yeah.
people I'm going to call it beat the system. I'll just say it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity and just the connection and the collaboration.
Thank you.